Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back to Radio Melee. It's been a little while. It's been 2-3 weeks. Not really sure. Can't count. Wasn't one of my strong points. We're joined by the Blur. I said, PP was telling me, hey, we gotta get a banger of a guest on our return to Radio Melee, because as I'm sure all of you saw on the YouTube channel, GG Melee, we're back. Season 2 has begun. We've already probably filmed, I don't know, I want to say we filmed upwards of like 10 pieces of content, maybe not 10, but we've probably filmed around 10 pieces of content that haven't even hit the streets of YouTube yet. So I'm very excited. Blur, welcome. How are you doing, my man?
What's up, man? I thought that season 2 reveal was very cute. You guys did a great job in front of a green screen. I like that, the bloopers. I was like, oh, this is very wholesome. Yeah. And it sounds like if you guys have already taped a bunch of stuff, then when you guys flew out, you guys must have done a bunch of really cool stuff while you were all together.
We did some stuff, and we've been doing a fair bit of stuff with PP remote as well. Hopefully next time we go to SoCal for something like that. Hopefully PP can make it out next time.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Blur, you're a seasoned podcaster yourself. I've definitely been someone who's followed your commentators curse series with the Tafikans over the years. But what you been up to lately, man? How have you been?
Dude, I've actually been super good. Wow. I've been playing a good amount of Melee. I've been playing a lot of other video games. Mostly chilling. If you're asking me what I've been doing in life,
you've been playing with chilling.
Big chilling. No, I've just been chilling. I've been hanging out and seeing friends. And this is part of why I like shows like this, is I get to talk to you guys and talk a little about Melee, because that's what it's all about.
Heck yeah, man. And if you guys want to talk to Blur about Melee, but if you want to talk to Blur about something that he has so much experience with that is closely related to Melee, that being tournament organizing, he's done a lot for the scene with that. Please use !Radio Melee in my chat or Toph's. Join the Discord. Get a question in if you're looking for Blur on that. You can talk about controllers. You can talk about the transition back to offline. You could talk about so many more things that TOs have.
How about Marth?
You could talk to Blur about Marth, and that will probably be our one and only question if you do that first. So lots of things you can bring up, but it's very important because so many times people ask us questions, and I say we got to get a TO on to talk about this. So here's our TO. So for all of those times that I said let's get a TO on, we now have that opportunity. We'll have it again in the future, but here you go. So again, very pleased for Blur to join us, even if he hasn't been TOing. He's certainly been doing so many things. I think I was talking to KoDoRiN today, and he was saying that he'd worked with you a little bit, Blur. How's that going?
Oh yeah. So I mean, that's the thing, man. Denny Pretendi and Sung started this thing called Team Moxie like a decade ago.
Yeah,
more than a decade ago. And I'll be honest, for like the last like 5+ years, I'm mostly just like vibe check it and kind of hand some of the reins to different people. KoDoRiN has been doing most of the work, him and Iggy and a few others lately, and they run TMT. They ran SS for a while. They run some events, and basically we trade TO coaching for Marth coaching. And it's weird though, because I feel like sometimes I'm on those calls and I'm the one coaching him. There's just so much
for Melee.
I was gonna say I hope we get a question about Marth, because I want to hear the PP side and the Blur side. You know what I mean? I want to hear both sides.
There's nothing more that I want in this world than for there to be a Marth question.
Please,
I don't know.
Please, anything but Pikachu.
And it's directed at me while PP's on the podcast. Like, that is just a beautiful, like, it's like a flower blooming. That is just like, oh yes. Please ask me instead.
Yeah, I agree. You can do that. What I want. You can call in and ask Blur a Marth question while I sit here and handle it.
I want to hear. Yeah, I want to be able to contrast the Blur side of things and the PP side of things.
Yeah, anything but Pikachu. That's all I ask.
Oh boy. Hey, Blur, is KoDoRiN, is he kind of like the de facto like leader of Team Moxie right now? Is that kind of what's going on?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he's that guy's gonna get really good, by the way. I know, Kevin, you spend a lot of time talking to him too, but
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how good he's gonna get. Like, he went from no one you knew to high on SoCal PR to like winning every SoCal tournament to now like everyone kind of assumes he's like top 15. I'm like, bro, you guys understand that's not normal, right? Like that's not an ascent that's like happens in Melee very often. And he beat Plup. Like think about that for a second. Yo, that's not easy. Like that's not something that people do with Marth.
Often.
And so I think that guy has a lot of potential and fix a few things. He's going to become a modern Kevin Nanny.
Yeah, and Blur, I'd really love to pick your brain on that really quickly. I mean, you're talking about things that you can teach KoDoRiN. You're talking about things he could improve, that he could clean up. I mean, could you just list a few of them? Because maybe he's not aware, and maybe you just didn't get around to telling him about it last time you guys talked. Really curious. Maybe he'd really appreciate that.
The problem with coaching, Kevin, is it has to be confidential. What if his opponents are watching? You know, you never know. Like they could be watching this and they could be dissecting his bad habits, and I just don't want to. No, but actually, seriously, he's actually been coaching me mostly, and I've been watching my VODs for the first time in my life, like I've been wanting to, and it's actually.
I watched a good YouTube video about that on PP's channel.
Yeah, I started doing that. It's really important. It actually is way more important than playing the game.
Wow, who knew?
Wow,
unbelievable. I couldn't believe it when I first did it.
Yeah.
What VODs of yours are you watching?
So just random slippy ones. So like I matched against the homie Zelda Freak recently. He's
on there.
PR player. Dude, he's playing still, and he's actually still pretty good. Shouts to that guy. And so I just like looked over those. Dude, you don't even have to watch that many. You watch like 2, and you're like, I got like 10 things to work on. I'm fine. And then you go back and you're fine. It actually used to be like an ego thing where I didn't watch it, where I was just like, man, I hate my Marth. I'm not gonna watch it. Blah blah blah. And then I realized like the whole hating my own Marth thing happened while I was playing anyways. So like I became more conscious while playing and was like, damn, this Marth sucks.
You referring to yourself?
Yeah, dude, self-hate is like my number one problem playing Melee, like by far. Really? I have such a dude, it's of course, because I'm just like, I love beautiful Melee, I love beautiful Marth, and I'm just like, this guy's making all the wrong decisions. And I'm just like, I'm like a commentator like 5 seconds later, and I'm just like, what's he doing? What like and that's what's running through my head, and I'm just raging.
I just feel like this is such a moment of growth for you.
Self-hate growth? Is that growth to
you? No, not that. Not the self-hate part, but you revealing that. And well, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, when I used to talk to you in the Twitch days, you know, I don't think you ever would have said anything like, oh, I don't like my own Marth. You know, you would have said my Marth is the best Marth in the world on a good day.
I mean, yeah, so I'm with you. Okay. I'm with you. I think Blur saying there are things I can improve, and I am actively going and looking at these things. Yeah, is aware. Now, of course, we're not here for the self-hate. Obviously, that's
not self-hate.
Blur has clearly not reached his final form if he's doing that. But we have to acknowledge the progress that is there, and we're happy for you, Blur. We celebrate you,
dude. Slippy makes you naked and afraid. It's because you can't hide. Like you're literally just on Slippy, and you're just like matching over and over again. And after enough matches, you're like, oh, I guess I am bad. It's not just like I'm not playing well today. My controller's bad. Oh, I'm rusty. Like the billion thing. You just like, oh, actually, this is just me every day. I'm not winning every. Like I suspected I should win every game, but I guess I don't.
This is the world. This is the world. This is the community. World. The people that I'm matching with are the people that I would play. Yeah. In a tournament or at a Smash Fest.
And it humbles you real quick, which is good. But yeah, I don't know. There's got to be some balance to it, right? Where it's like self-love and self-hate. And what I've noticed again, like speaking on the commentary stuff, it's like, dude, I literally play like a commentator. I don't know if you do this, Toph, but my brain and the thoughts I'm having are literally like I'm commentating the match, but I'm playing. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing or whatever. It makes me pretty observant. Wow. Yeah. But it ends up making that I'm like always like a little behind because I'm thinking about almost like verbalizing what I'm saying. It's so weird.
I don't think I do that. Maybe I should. Maybe I'd be a little more I don't know, observant. maybe I'll say little things like, "Oh, this guy texts in place a lot." I don't know if I'll be straight up. Give me an example of that. What does that look like to you, Blur? Give me an example. Because I see PP's face too. PP's also thinking, how does that work? What is that?
So like, you know, like
Right.
when a commentator like goes, oh, like you miss an edge guard and you get reversaled and whatever, like they make a big deal out of it. They'd be like, "No,
Did you mean to make that? Did you mean to go, oh, like in a vaguely French accent?
No.
Okay.
Unfrench it for a second.
Okay.
And then straight just like, you know, like they make a big deal of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I think when you're playing normally and you're just like whatever, you just move on, right? But if you're like
You
a
do?
little commentary voice, you're like, dude, that decides the chat. That's everything. You know?
Oh, he can't come back from this. This is such a devastating deficit. Oh,
Yeah.
I see. So you're
What are you supposed to
expecting a
do?
level of perfection as an enjoyer of high level melee, and when you don't deliver that, you beat yourself up a little bit. Is that what's going on? A little bit.
A little bit of shame.
It does feel bad. You drop an edge guard. You think you have a forward smash that's going to cover everything, and you get nicked by the fox up B that comes in that's at such an angle, and you get hit by the up B and you get popped up, and you're like, oh man, that's such a free edge guard. Should have had that, whatever. And I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
For some reason,
Maybe how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Oh, if I make a mistake or something
because
like that?
you play on stream, and you'll narrate your own games, almost like a commentator commentating his own game. So maybe you have some you have a happy medium we can strike here for Blur.
Yeah, so I mean, when I'm commentating, I'll usually just say, or if I'm playing and I'm talking, I'll usually say something like, "Okay, well, yeah, I missed that. This is why I missed that. That's okay." And I put that's okay or that's perfectly all right. I put that in pretty regularly where people will almost meme about it sometimes. And I don't think I do it for me. I more so do it so that if people are watching, like, they know that mistakes are part of Melee and that it's okay. Like, I don't think anyone, like, even Zane, who's, hitting so much stuff. I mean, he's still dropping things. M2K talking about how Zane was off by a frame on that tech chase in the last game of Summit or whatever, right? Like, poor Zane. He's just not there yet. But, I think you just have, like, these things are just going to sort of happen and you just have to kind of roll with it. And, I wasn't always that way. I used to get very upset about how I would make mistakes. And I think something simple that just helped me with it. By the way, Toph, is Blur's cam just getting lit right now, or is that on my end?
He's a little bit purple.
Okay.
I kind of liked it though. I thought he looked kind of cool. There we go.
All right,
I did look cool for a second, yeah.
I was just making sure we weren't losing.
He looked like he caught a debuff, like an RPG debuff or something.
Yeah.
Oh, like I got poisoned.
He got poisoned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you took the antidote. You're good now, man.
That's right.
Yeah, and I mean we can always circle back to handling mistakes and everything, but I don't want to keep our callers waiting if that's okay with you, Toph.
No, perfect. Yeah, we're starting to get some pretty good questions I'm seeing here in the Submit Topics Here channel. And hey, I just want to use this as a reminder before we go into the segment of the show where we talk to all of you lovely people out there. If you're in the Twitch chat right now and there's we see y'all in both my Twitch chat and PP's. ! Radio Melee. You can join the Discord. It's very easy. It takes about a second. And then you can just ask us questions. And if you ask a dope enough question or a pertinent enough question for the Blur, we're going to bring you on, and we're going to talk to you. We're going to get to hear your voice. With that, I'd like to. I think this is a perfect opportunity. Let's bring on our first caller. Looks like we got Punk calling in. What's up, Punk? Where are you calling in from?
Hello, calling in from New England.
New England. I love the clam chowder.
So sorry, I'm gonna mute the stream real quick so I don't hear myself twice. That's
a good idea.
Yeah, that'll freak you out.
So this question's kind of loaded, but I'm gonna try to keep it as.
No, we like loaded.
Okay,
Loaded's good. The more loaded, the better.
So, I've been into Melee for years. What got me really into it would have been Bad Melee Podcast and the Reads.
Perfect.
And for a while, that was really my only way to engage with Melee. And I found other ways, especially with Slippy. But to this day, despite wanting to and like working towards it, I have never been
Mhm.
able to attend an event or a tournament, and
Mhm.
that's for a myriad of reasons. A lot of them health related. But
Sure.
my question is, especially with Blur here as a TO, and also as someone who votes on rule sets and logistics,
Mhm.
um, with the transition from Slippy to in-person tournaments again and in-person events, and as rule sets are changing and there's debates about CRTs and monitors, do you think that there is room and time for there to be like an interest and an improvement in regards to the accessibility of the game?
Do you mind asking if I ask a clarifying question first? What
Yep.
do you mean by accessibility? Like, what in particular do you want
Oh,
improved?
okay.
To be made?
So I guess one of the big ones is like the really grossly inadequate like colorblind clause. Um,
Oh,
I'm not
what
sure
is
if you
there right
guys
now?
have. Basically, it's if requested by a player, the other person has to like make steps to make their character more distinct from the other person's character. And there
Okay, yeah.
isn't too much else to it.
What is the issue with that?
The
Yeah.
issue is that it kind of hinges on a really narrow problem that someone with color blindness might have. Because color blindness isn't just someone's ability to see color, it's also their ability to like memorize and learn and interpret things based on color.
Okay.
So like a thing that it's really all it says is make the character distinct from the opponents. It's nothing like make the character distinct from the background or
Oh,
Ah,
sure.
put a name tag on the ice climbers if someone can't tell them apart.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
That one's huge. And then the other thing, this isn't so much a rule set change, but it's like a kind of something that's overlooked in the CRT versus monitor debate.
Mhm.
Well, two things. One is color reproduction on monitors. It tends to be a lot easier to like just, press some buttons and change like brightness, contrast, saturation, whatever on a monitor. So someone
Right.
who does struggle with color blindness, for example, will have a better time with that. And the other
On
thing
a
is that
monitor versus a CRT, you mean?
yes, and the other thing
Right.
is that people who are super audio sensitive, this includes myself,
Mhm.
if a venue has a bunch of CRTs in it, they can't step foot in there because that
Oh, wow.
buzzing. Yeah, no, like that. Like I can deal with one CRT in a room, like I can deal with
Mhm.
the noise, but I certainly can't concentrate. If there's more than one CRT in a room, I'm like I have to get out of that room.
Wow.
So I guess my concerns are like, it's a time of like a lot of change, and I guess turmoil sounds negative, but things are not super stable right now in regards to how people approach things and how people run things. And so I wonder if, I'm not saying, to be clear, I don't think everything should be monitors or else it's ableist. I'm saying that, if it's possible, I think regions should offer monitor only tournaments just because that
Mhm.
allows more people to go to some events. And so I'm just really wondering if there's like if this would be a good time for things like that to be approached and tackled.
Sure, I can answer. So I think a lot of the ideas that you mentioned, they're not in rule sets because we haven't thought of them. Like that's not. Those seem like things that most of the time, like if someone asked us, we just like do it. Like, oh yeah, put a tag on your ICs or whatever. It's not a big
Hmm.
deal. If you want them to be in the rule set, honestly, just like making amendments and stuff like that, because there's so many different things that could be added that are probably not in, just because we haven't thought of it. Like I genuinely haven't had a brainwave along these lines in my life before. So it's genuinely because I've never thought of these questions before. And so we totally put them in, and I don't think anyone would have a problem with it at all. As far as like a room full of CRTs versus monitors thing, I think we are making the transition monitors, thankfully. A lot of locals I'm seeing are still CRT, just because it's a little bit easier to source CRTs. But I
Yeah,
think
for
it's
sure.
inevitable.
From a
It's going to
cost perspective,
happen.
right?
Yeah. I think what you'd find if you go to events is as long as the TO isn't completely garbage at their job, they will probably be very accommodating to you. And they would try to make everyone be pretty chill. and a lot of these requests would probably be handled on a local level pretty well. I'd hope so, at least. On like a national level, we can absolutely add that stuff in. We do have an amendment process. Very rarely gets used. Occasionally we get emails about it for the official rule sets. For people who don't know, the rule set, like, it started as like a 25-5 very ambitious thing. Then we kind of just, like, never really used the 25, which was like the top players.
PP.
Sorry, PP was on part of the 25. Reason we did that is we realized that, like, no one was talking, and like they just weren't doing a very good job. And so we became a 5 very quickly. And then of the 5, it pretty much me and Nintendo were the ones who actually did like 90% of the work. So ended up being a project that made us a rule set. And that rule set's been used for like the last like 6-7 years, like across everything. So it's a project that worked, but like we sort of kind of still maintain it. And if people go out there and give us ideas to add, obviously the rules don't really change very fast in Melee. It's been around for 20 years.
How should they go about doing that? Because I think, as you said, I do trust that most TOs would be very accommodating. But there is a problem there in that the people who would think of these changes are the people who would need them, who probably aren't showing up right now because they can't.
Yeah, so the way to do it is actually listed in the rule set. There's like an email link and a way of doing it, and you just send them to that email. Another thing you could do, I have open DMs, and Nintendo might too. If you're worried that we won't see the email, you can also just DM it to us as like, do both. Do the email too, but like do that too. So the process of how to submit stuff like that is actually in the rule set. It says exactly like how to do it. So
that's perfect and wonderful to hear.
Yep. So
it sounds like there's also
everything you said sounds like good ideas that we just add if we just thought of them. So it's not like a big deal, but we would do it.
Yeah, it sounds like there was also kind of an aspect of the question that's like, is now a good time to be doing this kind of thing? And I think that if it's like, I mean, some of this stuff sounds, for example, the like accommodating, say, hey, can you wear a name tag for the ice climbers, or like, can you use a color that's specifically, distinct from not just my character but the background? Some of that stuff, I think, even like Blur said, like even on the fly, like if you just asked someone that mid-set, or you asked a TO like at a tournament, even if it wasn't explicitly in the rules, I feel like, part of being a TO is also just knowing, like on kind of an ad hoc level, like you're making some calls ad hoc every tournament. Like there's always going to be, as a TO, and Blur knows this, there's always going to be some unforeseen stuff where you have to make a call. And I think that any TO worth their salt, if someone was like, hey, these are some concerns that I, have right now that might not have made their way into the rule set yet, if that process is still undergoing, I think that they would just do it immediately, like on the fly, like at a tournament. I've even been there, not from a color blindness level perspective, but I've played on a monitor where it was extremely dark, and I had to play against someone who's going Black Dr. Mario on Battlefield, and it was like really hard for me.
I've also heard Ganondorf on Battlefield. That one sucks.
Yeah, purple Ganondorf on Battlefield. Dude. So and I've asked this before, like, hey, dude, would you mind going another color? I actually, on this monitor, I can't see your character.
Gawan needed to go a different color against Armada in that first game of Evo.
Oh, it was
he was Black Doc against Battle.
It was really hard to see.
He should have done that for the community. Someone should have brought it up just for the community's sake at that point, because I couldn't see a thing.
It was so bad. It was our first match in front of the FGC, I think now is a good time, right? I think it's a great time to be addressing this stuff, because we're coming back to offline tournaments. I think there's, I mean, in reality, I think that these are very important questions, and it shouldn't need to be addressed now. Like if you had a concern like this a year from now, or 2 years from now, or a year or two in the past, I think those are fine times as well, because they're important, and these needs should be addressed. But I think now is a good time in the sense that there is a lot of change in the rules. So it's like, like the process is kind of already underway. If the rule set doc is already being amended for things like, I don't know, Frozen Stadium, if that's something that I have no idea what the state of Frozen Stadium in the rule set is right now. But if people are putting on a new version of the rule set doc, then maybe now is a good time to get some of their changes in there as well, just to save people some work or whatever. But I mean, I think you're right on the money, and I hope these. I hope you hit blur up and we get some of these changes implemented. Yeah.
I'm definitely especially optimistic about it now because in the past when I've seen some people or I've tried to bring this up, not like directly with community leaders or TOs, but just kind of getting a discussion going.
Right.
It's usually gone directly to people talking about box controllers or talking about being afraid of modding the game. Like a big one, requesting a name tag against a Sheik player or a Zelda player or a Mewtwo player. When they're invisible, the name tag follows them. If you're playing on
Right.
Slippy, just like local on Slippy, or if you're using like 20xXTE, the name tag disappears now. A lot of people don't know that. They took that function from like Project M or something. But so it was always either talking about, oh, the name tag follows me, it's not fair, or the box controllers aren't fair. So people were super scared of
Interesting.
either modding the game being a problem or the accessibility functions going too far. And I
Interesting.
think
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Were you having these discussions on Twitter?
No.
Where-
I was having them in like small like Discord servers. I avoided bringing it to like Twitter and Reddit and all that.
The
I
reason
don't.
I asked that question because it sounds like they just misunderstood you, and
Yeah.
that's usually what on Twitter.
Yeah.
So
that is a good question.
Yeah.
But
And that's actually there's something there too, right? Which is that like when you have these sorts of conversations, I think it's good to be specific because like yeah, you're right. Like so much of accessibility in Melee has been about people's hands and controllers that allow people to play that wouldn't otherwise be able to play. So it's good that you're, as clear as possible because like so that people don't assume, I suppose.
Yeah.
What they think you're trying to bring up or something like that.
Yep.
Because I mean accessibility it's like comes in all shapes and sizes. There's like many aspects to it, right? But yeah, I think
I mean, we want more people play the game, man. If the reason you're not playing is because Black Doc, you can't discern them, and you play against a Black Doc and Mario, and you're like, I literally lose because I can't control it. That just seems lame.
Or anything else,
we don't want. Yeah, it just or whatever. I think it seems like an easy change.
The other reason at this point that I'm not playing the game is because all the box controllers are, out of stock, and I have arthritis. But that's independent of it. There's other obstacles, and I think those can be remedied. And because I'm hopeful about that, I'm finally actually looking at getting a controller that will let me play and just let me actually practice.
I think the shipments somewhere in Q3 is if I've been reading stuff right. So they should be back.
Yeah, I've heard towards like November, I think, for the frame one, something like that.
Yep. So hopefully that works out.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys.
Best of luck to you
Best
with
of luck.
with the controller hunt, and hopefully we'll see you at a tournament one day.
All right.
Take it easy, Punk. Good to talk to you. Any shout outs you want to do, by the way, while you're on the air?
Oh, for sure. Huge shout out Firepuff 12.
Love Firepuff 12.
Yeah, I joined his Discord a while back. Super nice people. Definitely have made it easier for me to start talking to more people in the Melee scene and start investing myself more in. Because I've got physical and mental health obstacles, and the mental health obstacles are definitely being accommodated for and remedied by the people in the Firepuff 12 Discord. So huge shout out to them. They're super nice, and I've been able to like actually net play with people and talk to people, and it's been wonderful.
Awesome.
Firepuff 12 Discord. I thought Firepuff 12 was in other people's Discords. Little did I know there's a Firepuff 12 Discord, and of course
That's right. I'm sure he's in other people's Discords as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
The fandom grows. Sick.
I have to imagine.
Mm.
All right. Well, take it easy, Punk. Good to talk to you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See you.
Thank you.
Peace.
Big first question.
Big first question. I think you're right, Blur. I think some of this stuff, it's just like someone needs to, because at the end of the day, people care about the things that are right in front of them. It's until someone brings up to me that I didn't realize that the CRT buzzing noise was such a factor, right? So it's really good that the conversation gets started.
Yeah,
because
I also
I'm
didn't
not
know. I mean, I straight up again. I've never had these thoughts before. That's all.
Right.
That's really all it was.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really good that the conversation's getting started, that someone's putting it out into the world. Dude, I was talking to you know what it is? You gotta say it out loud. You have to will things into that's not like the how did he say it? I was talking to Tasty Steve the other day. You know Tasty Steve? Lives a couple blocks from me. Sometimes we go for walks, and he was talking to me. And he told me, this was in the context of like an outfit he was trying to buy from the store. And he was saying, I want to be wearing this outfit on a boat. I was like, on a boat? He's like, yeah, I'm trying to be on a boat wearing this outfit. And he said, and I'm telling you this because I need to say this out loud. I need to speak it into the world. If I don't say I want to be on a boat, I'm never going to be on a boat. Right? I need to tell you, and then you're going to say to somebody at some point, like I am right now on Radio Melee, Tasty Steve wanted to be on a boat. And then that's going to get through, and then somehow the wheel of karma in the universe is going to be such that a couple months from now or a year from now, Tasty Steve's going to find himself on a boat wearing this outfit that he wanted to wear on the boat. And that's how it works. You can't just, if you keep it all in, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Nothing changes. You got to speak it into the universe. And then the wheels of fate start to turn and things happen. And I say to Blur, Tasty Steve said something about a boat. And then maybe Blur's friend that owns a boat, Tasty Steve's in SoCal or something.
I want to try this.
You know what I mean? There's this whole,
I want to try this.
There's a karmic kind of thing that happens. And by getting Punk on the air for Radio Melee, speaking some of those things, and if Punk never spoke those things into the world would never have known.
Toph,
tell me, talk to me.
I'm gonna be the greatest Marth in the world.
There it is. There it is. There it is. Speaking it into existence. Now
it's gonna happen now.
The universe finds a way. The universe finds a way. I'm a big believer in this, man. I'm a big believer. You got to say things out loud. You got to speak your truth into the world. Otherwise, the world doesn't know. The universe doesn't know. It doesn't know it needed to do something. Now it's saying, "Oh, I see. Blur wants to be the best."
What's important is that I used to say I'm already the greatest Marth in the world.
That's all right.
But now, so the universe didn't think I had to do anything. It's like, oh, okay,
right. He's fine. It sounds like he's
job's done.
Sounds
nothing to do.
Sounds like he's got it covered.
Yeah, but now that I said that, it knows. Oh, we have to change something here. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I wonder what we can speak into the world with our next caller.
That's right. druviaq. Where are you calling in from, druviaq, on this fine day?
Oh, hey guys, how are you doing?
Hello.
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
Yeah, I'm alright. Bit sick though, so excuse me for that. But it's not COVID, thankfully. I'm calling in from Hanover, Germany, and
I love Germany. Shout outs.
Yeah, shout outs. My question is also about EU majors and EU viewership, in general. So, even before COVID, EU majors had so much less views than in North American majors. We had 500 or 1,000 viewers maybe, while North America gets 10,000s of viewers. So I think it's because North American viewers are not really that interested in EU majors, or it's maybe too early in the day for them to watch. But so my question is about how do we get North American viewers to watch or get interested in EU tournaments, and also how do we get top NA players to attend European majors?
Two good questions. Blur, you want to start?
Those are great questions.
Great questions.
Dude, there's a lot to break down there because there's a lot that could be done, and I think it has been done in the past to make it better at some points. I think we've had high points in EU Melee in terms of interest from the outside scene, and lower points. I say now is one of the valleys in relatively. I think the thing to remember about an American viewer's point of view is it's cool to follow someone who is a player over there, but after 20 years plus, especially, and this happens with all international scenes, let's use Japan as an example, right? there's some really cool players out there, and there have been for a long time. But there is a part of me deep inside that knows I'm only ever really going to see that guy play against Amsa, you know, or like a couple other players I know, right? And so I can get hype about how dope this Marth is, for example, but I don't know if there's going to be how they're not going to be on a top 100 list, maybe, you know, just because we won't put them on because we won't really know anyway, or, you know, or they won't have enough set wins because they just have such a limited pool of players to go against. So I think those cross-cultural encounters are really important and fundamental to how I'd grow any international scene. So it's like, okay, how do you get those people over? I got to fundraise a little bit. Like we're not talking about that much money. Like to bring someone over from you know the States or something. Like we're talking about like sub $1,000, right? So like these sort of things can be accomplished in small communities like really easily. And I think they would be accomplished with the NA scene's help with like creative formats like, you know, like Summit and stuff, where people make things happen. So I think thinking about ways to do grassroots, you know, bottoms up sort of fundraising and doing more of that. I mean, obviously that's been done before, but you just got to keep doing it, and it never stops. And then second of all, I think it's like give us a reason to care, right? Like, why does it matter, and why is it important? Is always like the reason why people watch anything in Melee. I think you see this all the time. Like people know this from like, why do people not really watch friendlies, but why do they watch tournament matches, right? Like the drop off in like a random home stream, people playing friendlies and like the high stakes tournaments is like literally insane, more than probably any other game, you know. Like, and the reason for that is that everyone knows friendlies have no stakes, right? This is different than other esports.
Yeah.
Like usually, like Arteezy playing Dota and he'll get 30K views, and then his tournament match will get 60K. It's like a difference, but it's not a huge difference. And that's because they have a ranked mode where people like, okay, this match has some level of stakes, right? And so that's our job in a game that doesn't have all that until hopefully ranked mode comes out, to give people like an actual reason that this matters and why it's like has broader implications. And hopefully like programs like, I don't know what's going on with Smash World Tour. I haven't really talked that much, but hopefully stuff like that which tries to connect scenes together where like, hey, this leads into that. I would say for EUTOs, I would talk to NATOs to be qualifiers for each other. Things like that. That's like really good synergies that work. Like, hey, top placing EU players of this event get flown out to this NA event. There are TOs who would be willing to help make that happen in NA and make that kind of work. And then you could do the opposite, right? Where like the person, there's like a sister event system, you know, where person who does well in my event goes to your event, stuff like that. So there needs to be cross-cultural encounters for anyone to care, and then also I think the stakes have to be known and made. Like I don't know off the top of my head who the best in EU are right now after like 5 people, right? Like that's not good. And I'm like as avid a Melee, like not necessarily because I don't know their names, but because I don't know what people think are the who's number 6 or 7, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm like I know the rough ranking of the first 5, but then after that it's kind of like whatever, and they're all around the same, and I just know their names, and that's not good, right? Like you actually have to know what the actual tiering of this. I have to know when watching something, is this an upset? You know, things that help with that
That's a
is
good
like
point.
things that help with that is if when you have like someone's like let's say an EU PR, whatever it is, number listed on their name next to on the overlay. Second of all, like
Yeah.
training commentators to really care about that. You know, like that sort of stuff helps quite a bit. And then gassing up your own players, right? Like when let's say Frenzy's on stream, I don't care if it's true or not. Start calling him the 3rd best Falco until someone changes our minds, right? Like it actually matters because then, and any of you would be like, "Hey, what? He's not 3rd best Falco. What are you talking about?" You know? And but it caused the conversation. All of a sudden, everyone's talking about Frenzy. Matters. It actually matters, right? Gas your own players up, make them prove it, make people care. And
Solo
think that
battle
players-
got so he got so much popularity overnight when people started calling him, you know, the most technical puff, like, you know, most fun puff to watch, you know, the guy that's innovating puff right now. Like solo battle went from no one knew who he was to I would say everyone knew who he was almost overnight. In the span of really a few months towards the end of 2020. In particular with the EU side event or the EU. I shouldn't even say side event, really. EU bracket at Summit 10. I think you're on the money there. I think that like ultimately, like the way you want to think about this, or the way I think about this, and the way that I think it should be framed is like the top Melee players. And when I say the top Melee players, I mean, Mango and Leffen, Hungrybox. They have a lot of star power. And that's like what really attracts the huge masses to the game. Like when you look at even even in terms of social media numbers, right? Like the top players have a huge amount of star power. And that's because that's because when a viewer tunes in, that gives them something to latch onto. And I always think of like growing viewership and things like that in terms of how do you give people, like Blur said, how do you give people something to care about? How do you give them something to latch onto, something that like they know? And it doesn't have to be done just in terms of tournament overlays. It can also, I think, be done with, for example, I think the EU bracket at Summit was awesome. Mind you, there are always going to be certain challenges, like, for example, time zones. I know with the EU bracket, I know a lot of people who would have watched, but it was early in the morning for some people because people have DGen sleep schedules, so some people just weren't awake yet. But, that's part of it. But that's fine, I would say. And, like, I think using some of the techniques that other games have brought, for example, looking at Guilty Gear Strive right now with Leffen running a lot of really good events. He ran an EU versus NA 10v10 event in Guilty Gear Strive. So it was like, okay, Leffen realized, and I think it's a very similar issue, right? Because for these Levo tournaments, the EU bracket would run first, and there'd be 5,000 viewers, maybe 4,000, 5,000. And then the NA bracket would run later, and there'd be 15,000 or 20,000 viewers. And so Leffen ran a 10v10 with EU versus the East Coast of the NA. Not West Coast, it's a little too far, but East Coast. And for a lot of people watching, myself included, I didn't really know that much about the EU side of things. But what I quickly realized was like, EU actually won that crew battle. They actually won the 10v10. And in doing so, like, you could tell almost overnight, there was a lot of, obviously it really helped that EU actually won. But even from just having that 10v10 be a thing and having a lot of people watch because they're like, well, I want to watch my favorite American players play against these EU guys. And then you learn a lot of names, and I think that skyrocketed the popularity of certain players for sure. It put a lot of people on the map. The EU Guilty Gear Strive top 8 got, I would say, pretty good viewership based on, in comparison to what the EU brackets were getting before that event. So I think creative events and creative ways to, now that there's rollback netcode, I think there's certainly exhibitions that could be done with, or events along those natures that would just kind of help give people, some kind of, and I think it's good to partner with, it's a shame now that we don't have Aiden anymore, because Aiden, obviously the biggest Yorubu on the planet, who unfortunately isn't working at BTS anymore. But I mean, I have to imagine that the EU bracket at Summit 10 was an initiative of his. And I think that partnering with like organizations like Beyond the Summit, which I think they'd still be down to do things like that. Poilon, with the Poilon Arena series. I myself, before Poilon Arena, I didn't know a lot about those players, but I started watching the results of those tournaments and paying a lot more attention because it gave some structure. Like Blur said, having a ranking, knowing like, oh, who are the best players right now? What would be considered an upset? What's not an upset? Publicizing that stuff and making it easy to access.
And one thing I want to clarify is that it's asking where do we get NA viewers, and I would just rephrase that to where we get viewers, because the truth is there's enough EU viewers to drastically increase your numbers as it is. Like these times, don't worry too much about time zones. Don't let it get you down, because if you know Twitch and know the platform, like EU and that region of the world is actually a larger percentage of the total viewer base. So like
it's true.
You guys actually have an advantage. It doesn't feel like it, but don't equate player base in terms of who's entering tournaments and stuff with viewer base, because the viewer base is like monstrously bigger. Like monstrously. The people interested in viewing Melee is like thousands of times bigger than, actually hundreds of thousands of times bigger than the people who are actually playing it. right? So if you remember that and realize that, oh, okay, there's actually a ton of people who would watch. We just need viewers. We need to make our content worth watching, and we need to make people care. Then you wouldn't care about the time zones because it doesn't matter. There's plenty of people in Europe who would watch good Melee, and there's plenty of people in other countries who would watch good Melee. I would stay up to watch it. It's kind of have to make it known, right? And to Toph's point, like the reason why people watch stuff that Leffen's in when he's in is because he's made a name for himself as he's gone out there. It's like when Pakistan came from Tekken. It's like now everyone watches the tournaments that the Pakistan players go to because they won stuff and they're like, oh my god, right? These guys are legit, and so that sort of stuff matters. And it's not just about tournaments and events. It's about like getting your EU personalities on shows like this and making shows like this and making content. You know, there's like a sphere of influence that NA exudes where most Melee conversation comes from it. And you guys can be a part of it. We're down to talk to you guys and have these sort of conversations. And then you can plug Frenzy. And then you can plug Solo Battle and whoever. And they'll be more part of the active conversation instead of, you know, with us, which we might not talk about them as much. So, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, right. Just to follow up on that, so I pretty much agree with all of your points. And I also think the Smash Summit 10 EU bracket was like so great just because just to hear like the NA casters like Toph and Lovage like commentate these EU matches, it really brought another light to the players and the playstyles and all of that. And just one point you also mentioned, to get like the top players like Mango, Zane, HBox and IBDW to get to Europe. I think it would be great to just have like one. So just imagine like COVID's gone, so just have like one big super major where we fly out these guys and also Leffen's coming. You know, just to have like one tournament that everybody just watches from NA or Japan or Europe would be so great.
Like I mean Air, right? Like Air, isn't Air happening this year? Is there a date yet? I'm not sure. Maybe it's
I think it's happening at some point, but I'm not sure when.
Should probably start looking into that. I don't know if there's a date that's been announced, but I mean that would be a prime candidate because yeah, I mean it's just such a fun event. I have no idea if like what the I mean I definitely plan on going. Blur was at the last one, so yeah, I think yeah, back in the day there were like some pretty good like DreamHack tournaments, for example. I think it's really good to have at least one major that has a significant enough significant enough stakes that a lot of the strong NA players decide to come out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, great question. I mean, I'm a you know, I want this game to grow in all kinds of different places. So, hopefully some of this stuff can be done. I think Paulon and the Paulon software team are already putting out making some really good strides right now, because I think there definitely seems like there's more interest in the growth of EU Melee right now than kind of there ever has been before. So, seems like you guys are already on the right track.
Yep. Good luck. I am rooting for you guys.
That's right.
How do you feel about that, druviaq? That answer your question?
Yeah, pretty much. Unless you have something to add, Kevin.
If I had anything to add, it would probably just be, I mean, pretty much all the big stuff's been said already, but the only other thing I had was just streamer type things. So either you run specific types of content people watch and like that, or you do, giveaways of some kind where at least people will join for a short period of time or maybe for a while so they could try and get something, and maybe you're able to hook some people and get them to stay that way. And there are all kinds of like little tricks and things like that people have. And of course, commentary was already mentioned as another thing to make it more engaging or to make it more emotionally investing and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I think, as we kind of talked about, we talked about this with South America at one point, and a multi-pronged approach is going to be best. So stream, the way you do tournaments, the way you raise funds when both scenes cross over, all that kind of stuff is just going to work best for you. And whatever works best, I think, hone in on that. But Until then, throw everything at the board, see what sticks.
Also, interview players like after they win. I've never heard Solo Battle's voice in my life. That's not a good
Oh, that's true. It's really,
like,
really
stuff like
nice.
that. Like, let us know
A
who
lot
these
of it
people
is-
are.
Man, you know, a lot of it too is just like I remember watching Solo Battle, and he had like it's like the smallest things go a long way, man. Like Solo Battle has a shit fucking camera. His camera is so bad. I didn't know they made cameras that bad. I don't even think I know what he looks like because his camera angle is like he's off to the side like this, you know. So you only really see, and it's like really blurry and dark. He didn't turn the lights on.
If you
And
tell me
it's
in
like-
my
it's
mind's
like
eye to
3
think
frames a
about
second, I don't know what he looks like.
how he looks like, I couldn't tell you. I just know
couldn't
about
tell
the
you.
puff. And that's
I
not
would-
good. That's so bad.
It's so bad. I would get him a camera. Like, it's the smallest things go a long way. I think knowing what people looks like is a big deal.
Hashtag get Solo
That's
Battle
why
camera.
Melee started growing a lot. And one of the changes we made in 2013, 2014 was we had player cams at all the tournaments. And as a result, a lot of the Melee top players' faces became faces that people became very intimately acquainted with. And I don't really know what Frenzy looks like, kind of. I think I kind of know. Well, I saw Frenzy at Smash Summit 10. But like Solo Battle's camera was so bad, I have no idea what he looks like. So that's
I
like,
know what Frenzy's look like, but I don't know. I've never heard him speak a sentence. I know him
Right.
nodding on camera. That's it. You got to do more than that. You know, you got to make me familiarize me with him. You know.
Yeah. Hashtag buy Solo Battle a Logitech webcam. That's what I would do. That seems like a low hanging fruit that, you know, I don't know, but
yeah,
I get that if you're a top player, you know, you probably just right now, until you reach a certain level of influence, you only really care about getting better at Smash. You don't really care about putting yourself out there in terms of your face and stuff like that. But unfortunately, that stuff does matter. It gives people something to care about. So yeah.
Faux show.
That's my thoughts
Yeah,
on that.
so yeah, thanks for answering. That pretty much answers my questions.
Absolutely.
Glad we could help. You got any shout outs for us on your way out today, druviaq?
Yeah, so I guess just shoutouts to German Smash, you know, Nikki and Ice putting in that work, and also Kenzo and Riggs, right? And yeah, just shoutouts to like everyone that attends tournaments and like keeps it respectful to everyone. I think that's like a really important thing. That you know, that you always hear like bad stuff, but I think a lot of people like really like respectful at tournaments, and that's a great thing. So just keep that up.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, thank you, druviaq. Appreciate you calling in and the good message at the end. Take care, man.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Another good one. And it looks like we got time for, I'm sure, one more, maybe two. We'll see. Good more questions.
Blur, you gonna go to the next air?
Down. Let's go.
Let's go, dude.
Hell yeah.
Well, in the meantime, we can ask Lovensky how he's doing and what he's got for us today. How's it going, man?
Lovensky.
What's up?
What's up?
Second time calling in.
That's
Welcome
right.
back.
Where were you from again?
Chicago.
That's right.
Lovensky from Chicago. The bean.
The bean, the big bean.
You know about the bean? The big bean. It's like silver.
But yeah.
Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
good.
Didn't mean to distract you with the bean. Talk to us, Lovensky. What you got?
So my question is a Marth question, since you guys have been
There we go.
Anking
That's what
for
I wanted.
that.
That's what I wanted to hear. That is what I wanted to
Of course,
hear.
Lovensky brings the Marth question. All right, here we
Yes.
go.
with Zane being the first Marth to break into the top 10, other than PPU and Shroomed in 2015, and obviously the gods, PPMD and Mewtwo King.
Yeah.
Zane has stayed in the top 10 since 2018. What is stopping
Yeah.
the other solo Marth players from being even top 20, and why is KoDoRiN and LSD doing so good right now?
What do you mean by what is stopping all the other Marth players from being top 20? I mean, I would argue that KoDoRiN probably is top 20 right now.
I would argue that as
Yeah,
well.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying what's like a new player, new people that people haven't heard of yet,
Okay.
or
Okay.
maybe top 50 players that play Marth. That what are they needing
What
to
are
do?
right? If you want to get into the top 20, like KoDoRiN arguably is right now. Right? I mean, the reason KoDoRiN's not ranked top 20 is because we haven't put out a ranking in 2 years.
Right.
But it sounds like you're asking, what do you have to do as a Marth player to become top 20?
Yes.
Okay. Blur, you should start.
Yes, we love Blur.
So I think an underrated storyline that people haven't said is how freaking hard it is right now to be a Marth. And I'm just gonna talk about the struggle for a second. But I actually think this is the worst meta for Marth that's ever happened. And it's shocking.
Wait, you're saying this is worse than when you could take Marth to like Corneria and Greens, and
Does that even count, Kevin? No one remembers these times. I almost don't even.
You were
think of those
there.
times anymore.
You started at like 2000, the first 2000.
I remember watching Rainbow Cruise get banned before my eyes as you did it. You killed that stage at cold.
Well, he
blood.
was also Sheik on that level, by the way.
He was Sheik. You shined off the top
Marth.
like 3 times. It was so sad.
Okay, but I just want to say you're saying this is worse than that. This is worse time.
No, it's not worse than that. But
Okay.
let me clarify, right?
Sorry. Okay, please.
So let's talk about like matchups that can be tough for a Marth, right?
Mhm.
So let's start with Pikachu. So there's Axe, who's unbeatable, 70-0. Literally, and the worst part about the 70-0, if you look at it, is I think there's maybe like 6 to 10 game losses total among 70 sets. Most of them are 3-0s. It's like the number of actual close sets is actually very few and far between. It's like a couple Zane sets. There's that one tie set.
It's like took 2 games the last set he played him.
Did you see how good he played? This guy, like, look.
I'm not contesting that. I'm contesting the numbers.
He played at a 15 out of 10.
Axe has not dropped 6 games out of 70 sets. Most of the Zane sets have been 3-2. Most of the Zane sets are 3-2. There's no way it's 6.
There's been like 2 or 3 3-2s. But bro, it's a very small number. You agree that it's probably less than 10, right?
No, it's more than 10 for sure.
I don't think it's more than 10.
It's definitely.
I think it's very low. Whatever the number, it's less than 15. Sure. You agree on that, right? Dude, 70 sets and you have maybe less than 15 game losses. Think about that. That's like an extraordinarily dumb number. But forget that, right? So there's that guy. And then for whatever reason, Zane's training up a Pikachu to become a second guy we can't beat, Tyler Swift. We just won't be able to beat 2 of them because that guy's going really far now. There's OKP. So there's like 3 good Pikachus that are like, and 2 that are good, getting good disgustingly quick. That's scary, right? So there's that. Plup, who's really good with Sheik and is like extraordinarily tough to beat. When Face Roll, Spark, all these guys start entering more, hopefully with Land, I don't know what's going on. But there's like a contingent of Sheiks with Shroom, whatever. Difficult to beat. There's 4 top level Falcons, Gatsu, SUJ, Nun, and Wizzy. Again, very difficult, can be tough for Marth. There is
when did all these matches become losing matches for Marth?
Bro, it's not
something.
What's stupid is that Marth might win every single one of these. It's not about that. It's more like what is a hard tournament matchup that many Marths have historically lost to. Like what is win rates and what is a challenge to becoming top 20 as Marth? Well, you're gonna have to beat these people, right? And these people are very difficult to beat with Marth in particular. What do you think has a higher chance of winning? A Marth that's outside top 20 beating SUJ or Falco? It's more likely the random Falco will do it. Just take a set off, bro. It's much more likely. And so if you actually look at like the distribution of players, yes, there's a lot of Spaceys around, but there's been Marths throughout the ages who can beat Spaceys but lose every other matchup. Right? The actual distribution of players is unfavorable to Marth right now. Now, that doesn't mean Marth isn't good and can't beat all these characters. It's just you have to learn all these matchups, and you have to know what you're doing. And he actually wins like every single one of these matchups, in my opinion. But it just takes a lot of experience. It takes a lot of skill. So you have to be a well-rounded, well-versed player to do this. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. Obviously, our arguable best player in the world, arguable second best player, depending on who you talk to, can do it. But people need to respect how good that guy is. Like, he is disgustingly, absurdly good. And the narrative that, like, Marth OP because the best player potentially uses him, it's, like, kind of insane when you look at the fact that before Zane came around, Marth wasn't doing anything for, like, hella years. Sorry, Kevin. But, like, other than like, Mewtwo King and PPMD using them as, like, a second character, like, Marth was just getting rocked for, like, a long time. It was a long time. And then the actual depth of the Marth players is really low and has been for a long time. Other people can't recreate the magic because maybe Zane's cracked out of his mind.
Wait,
I would
what
just like
do you
to-
mean by this? Can I just, sorry. to cut you off. What do you mean by depth? I just need to, you know what I mean?
There's not that many good Marths. Just period. Right? There's just not that many good, especially active Marths. Relative to how good he is. If he's the best character in the game, then why the hell is there like 1 to 3 that we actively see on a regular basis? That makes no sense. Now you can add a few names if you want to that barely enter, like Rishi or whatever, if you want to boost that number up. But that's really low overall for how common he is, right? Like he's like 20% of the player base or something dumb. He's a very common character, but a lot of people don't get that good. Because it's tough. It's not that easy. And I'm not saying every other character isn't hard as hell. They're all hard as hell. Melee is hard as hell. But I'm saying these are the things you'd have to overcome to actually get good because it's not.
Okay, I see.
It's not that easy, Toph. It's not easy to become top 20 in the world. I don't know.
No,
I don't know why you're giving me mirth when that's a very obvious statement.
So listen. First of all, okay. I think I agree with the latter part of what you said. I think I agree with the notion that you have to understand a lot. I mean, that's just to become top 15 in the world. You have to understand all these matchups no matter who you're playing. Okay, if you're a Falco player, if you're a Falcon player, if you're a Puff player, you have to understand what all these characters are doing. You have to understand what you should be doing against them. PB, do you think it's true that it's a tough meta for Marth right now?
I would like to say a few things about what Blur
Okay,
said.
you go ahead. I'm just going to let you take it away. I'm just going to let you go ahead. Yeah.
So maybe I'll do this one a little like Blur did. So let's start with Pikachu, Blur. Let's start with Pikachu.
Okay.
Your favorite thing to talk about, even though Marth somehow wins this now. Now, you know why Marth's were losing to Pikachu for a long time, Blur? I will tell you the reason why. And it's because Marth's did not work on the matchup very much. They talked about how it was broken and insane and unfair, or Mewtwo King switched to Sheik. And so there was no footage and no one was labbing it. Falcons were labbing. Marth players weren't labbing. That's point one. Also, there are more Zane trains against Tyler Swift. Now more Marths can play against more Pikachus. KoDoRiN was playing Tyler Swift on stream literally last week, so he is learning the matchup. He hadn't played it before, and he still was doing okay versus Tyler Swift the very first time they played. Moving on, Face Roll Quit, Sparked Moved, has less challenges. Moving on, Marth has to clean up his play a lot as a character. He just in order to get to top 20, Marth will struggle. If he does drop punishes, he will get punished more by a lot of other characters, like something that makes the Sheik matchup very hard, or even the Falcon one. If he misses a juggle, he can get reversaled, he can die, sure. But I do think Marths are optimizing a lot now. I think Marths are flow charting a lot more now. KoDoRiN uploaded a video with Zane recently where they were going over so many ways to optimize punish more, so they stopped getting reversaled. That's going on right now. Everything is changing much more. Everything is getting labbed out much more. And if you think what's being added here isn't going to trickle down to other Marths, if they're not going to watch the videos and pull from that, you're not seeing the larger picture. Just like when Sechi's uploading all these Falcon videos years ago, and there's clearly a Falcon revolution coming with players like Wizzy and then what other people are labbing, so too now will we see a greater depth of Marth players. It is coming down the line. You can say, yes, there aren't many now. There still are. There are going to be more. The pathways are being created. Content's being made. You cannot tell me that more isn't coming. Marth is a very strong character. You say he wins the matchups. We're seeing Zane do great things. You can't say, like, where's the representation? You can't say, like, it's all there. It's right there. It's being shown. Other people are doing it. And I think, Blair, it's only a matter of time before you do it. You spoke it into reality, did you? How are you going to argue with that?
There it is.
What's weird is he actually didn't disagree with his thing. Nothing he said disagreed with anything I said. What's crazy about what he said is that they're both of our statements were actually concurrent realities.
What you said that, like, there's all this
the way you said it, Blur. I think it's the way you said it.
I'm answering the question: why aren't there more Marth players in top 20 right now? Not why won't there be more in the future? Because we're learning, because we're becoming better, and Marth clearly is capable. But it's just like, why haven't people done it? It's because, bro.
But
it's
there's
hard.
so much
like,
more,
what do you want from us, bro? It's hard.
Much more top level footage for emulating a Marth than there has been, I would say, since the Ken days. Okay, obviously Mewtwo King and PP were great role models for up and coming Marths, but Mewtwo King he copped off of Marth for a lot of matchups. You know, PP also has a Falco that you would use in a lot of matchups.
Yeah.
I would say before PP came along, Marth Sheik, it was very hard to find great Marth versus Sheik footage. That just didn't exist. And then PP beat Mewtwo King a bunch of times, and then all of a sudden, okay, here's the blueprint for what a Marth player could try to emulate to beat a Sheik. Well, now, the degree to which you could watch hours and hours and hours, probably days worth of footage at this point, for every single Zayn versus Tyler Swift VOD, or every single Zayn versus when he plays Ben, or when he plays some of these Sheik players. There's so much more footage with Zayn streaming than there ever has been, right? For an up and coming Marth player.
Like recently,
and I think that's huge.
If I can butt in, recently,
But please butt in.
Plup and Zayn did a whole stream where they just played
They did.
Frankies the entire time. So
Yeah.
And the problem with for people like me is that I think many people just watch that and they can copy Zayn, but I'm over here being like, he's the one copying me, and there's really nothing I can learn.
Sorry,
That's a
what do you
good
mean
one.
by that? Like, elaborate?
Yeah. No, his entire
What do you
style is just an emulation of me in 2014. It's just slightly more accurate. That's all. That makes complete sense.
Instead of questioning the validity of that statement, which I could, I'm actually going to do a little tangent here. Blur, I think you play more like KoDoRiN than Zayn.
Don't say that.
I think you
say
do.
that.
I think you're more of an aerial-based Marth than a grounded dash dance-based Marth. I don't feel like you ever once, in all of the sets we played, I don't think you ever outplayed me on the ground. I think you swung your sword in the air, and I don't remember ever.
I've never grabbed you in your life.
I don't think you really dash grabbed me. I thought you were more of an aerial-based Marth. Yeah, I would say you were more of an aerial-based Marth, which is
I am
how
more
we'll see.
aerial-based Marth, yeah. Which
Isn't
might
that
be a
more
terrible
PP? Wouldn't
thing.
you say that's more KoDoRiN than Zayn?
It is, but I would say that Zayn still jumps a fair amount. But
No, he does. He does.
But
He
between
does. Still
between
nowadays,
between the two, yeah, KoDoRiN certainly jumps a lot more.
I think Blur's a jumper.
I jump a little bit.
I think you're a jumper, Blur.
Look, I don't mind being.
I think you're a jumper,
compared
Blur.
to KoDoRiN, dude, that Zayn guy's really good. I have a hard time watching anyone else sometimes.
Sure went off the rails.
Can I make a confession? These
Go
are
ahead.
my confessions.
Yeah.
The entire
I love a good old
world-
Blur confession.
The entire world was freaking out in Summit Grands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was freaking out a little bit too. Man was moving. He was playing great, beautiful. But after that set was done,
Yeah.
I actually had to lay down for a bit. I was sad. Most people were exuberant. I was sad, and I was
Why were
like,
you
"Wait a
sad?
second." I always root for Mango. Mango's like one of my good friend. If I had a wedding, he'd be one of the groomsmen. I love Mango. But I was like, is my Marth love that deep? There was a part of me that was just like, oh man, got shined so many times. Why'd you jump into them, man? It sucks.
Did you never
and,
have this with PP back in the day?
Yeah, no, I root for PP for sure. But
I didn't play red. That was the problem. He couldn't identify.
It
it.
is.
That was the problem, the color.
You guys ever feel like when you're playing Melee and you get hit by a big move, it hits you straight in the soul? It's like you actually got hit. You are the one who got hit. Marth is you. Sometimes you see another red Marth on screen. It's like you get shined. You're like, oh, it hurts. It hurts so much, bro. And then, so I was like, I knew deep in my heart that it was really good for the scene. What happened? It was a great set, great play, a lot of awesome stuff. But there was still a part of me that was just like, man, he really lost that, huh? Man, that's a bummer.
I get that.
I
get that.
I wanted them both to win. Is the best way.
I did too. I wanted them both to win.
I wanted them both to win.
What was the question again? Oh yeah, what's up with
Lovensky,
Marth versus top 20?
Lovensky, if I had to answer the question with one word, it would be time.
It's a matter of time. It took so many years, like the number of years between AMSA and Beezum and Whiskers, right? And Nez.
Yeah.
The amount of time between Axe and Tyler
Yeah.
Swift and OKP, just because the blueprint's there. it's a very difficult game, Super Smash Bros. Melee. It takes time for people to emulate. So even the people that are out there copying everything they can, they're going to take some time to reach that level. So
it might take you 20 years, maybe more. You never know.
That's right, Blur. It might.
It might take,
but it will.
But it will happen. Now that you've spoken into the world, it will happen.
Yes, it might take a little longer than you expect, but it still could happen.
Yeah. Lovensky, do you feel like we answered your question appropriately? I think there were multiple parts. I don't know if we missed anything.
Yeah.
Lovensky, you there?
What if he's still there? Oh, there he is. Hello, Lovensky.
Hello.
Yeah.
Did we answer your question?
Yeah, I'm really glad I asked this question.
I guess there was the part of your question that had to do with like why are KoDoRiN and LSD doing so good right now?
That is true. He did ask.
We didn't really talk that much about those guys. Logan, he goes by now, I suppose.
KoDoRiN a little bit, but
KoDoRiN a little bit. I think those guys, if I had to just briefly respond to that, I think they are two of the. Okay, I'll do a little bit of a callback to something Blur said. I think with Marth, it is pretty. There are things Marth players want to do, and in some matchups you just don't really. You have to be a little bit more disciplined. I think. I mean, it's like this for a lot of characters, right? I think it's like this with with Fox. It's like this when you play against a Samus for the first time. You have to kind of think outside the box with regards to what you're used to. And I think for a long time, honestly, when I looked at Marth players, I felt like they were really good at what they knew. And they would do really well against, okay, I'll just come out and say it, the space animals. But they were, by and large, outside of a couple notable exceptions like PPMD, pretty bad at adapting their character to some of the other more nuanced matchups, like Sheik that Blur mentioned. And I think that like KoDoRiN in particular, but also Logan and also a lot of the more modern Marth players, I think are some of the guys that are being a lot better about coming up and playing the matchup that's in front of them. When I watched KoDoRiN versus Plup, I really, really felt that way. I was like, this is all really good stuff that he's doing. When I watched KoDoRiN versus Falcon, which is a matchup that he's worked on a lot recently, he looks way better, I think, than the average Marth did in that matchup for a long time. And I think there's a little bit more breadth that I think some of the more modern Marths are bringing. When I look at in the past, some of the Marths that were really on that cusp of greatness, I think sometimes they were ultimately held back by their matchup spread a little bit. I remember talking to IB about this, actually. Great player, Canadian Marth. And he came to Northwest Majors one year and he got third. He beat SFAT and he beat Silent Wolf. But we were in the car that weekend on our way somewhere. I think it was the day after the tournament, and we were getting food or something. And he was saying, man, like, am I good at this game or am I just good versus Fox? And I'm not making a judgment one way or the other, but his words, not mine. But I think there was a lot of this for a long time. And I think that ultimately, if that is you as a Marth player, really easy to just like push your spacey punish game and push your spacey punish game and push your spacey punish game. But the breadth is really, really important if you want to be consistently placing high. And so when Blur says it's a tough meta for Marth, I mean, I agree that there's more great Falcons than there ever have been before. But the onus is ultimately on the Marth player to play the matchup that's in front of them.
We can do it. I mean, character's broken. Like, character's literally stupid. So it's not like it's not doable. It's just like he's got a humongous sword, big grab, can dash around. He's practically invincible when he dashes.
Really athletic guy
in the game.
He's got a tiara.
Honestly, good looking. Yeah.
Got a cape.
So sick though.
Little boots.
Yeah, like I mean, I think the discipline thing is huge. Like the thing with Marth is that you got to be crazy disciplined. Yep. But what's crazy is that like, if sometimes you got to be crazy disciplined, but sometimes you're so good. Like Zane, you watch him, and you're like, he's doing whatever the hell he wants. He's just vomiting his brain on stream, bro.
I was saying this on stream. People watch the top players stunt in these crazy ways, and I was trying to drive the point home. You got to learn how to walk before you could, you know what I mean? Okay. Case in point, I've been coaching Noah, who you played yesterday. The first time I did a session with Noah, someone SD'd and he went off the stage and and Noah could have edgehogged him, but he didn't grab the ledge, and he was like, "Oh, it wouldn't be the homie thing to do or something." I was like, "Noah, you're not even consistent enough at grabbing the ledge quickly to be worrying about that kind of, like, every time the opponent flings themselves off the ledge with your current level of skill at grabbing the ledge, you should treat that as a good opportunity to practice grabbing the ledge as quickly as possible. Because currently, when you go for it, you mess it up. And I think people see Mango doing homie stocks, or they see Zane doing these crazy edge cancel combos, and they say, I want to do that. But in the words of Ronnie Coleman, one of the great weightlifters of all time, one of the great powerlifters of all time, or bodybuilders, everybody wants to be a bodybuilder, but nobody wants to lift no heavy ass weights.
You gotta lift these weights. But it's also like those things happen after often many interactions, many friendlies of those guys like winning normally. And then their opponent's now like broken as a human being. They've turned their brains mush. They're questioning everything about their existence. And so they're able to basically do whatever the hell they want to win. And everyone's experienced that. If you've gone to a certain level of skill, honestly, very little amounts of skill can get you to a point where you can start stunning on people, right? Like, that are way worse than you. That's all that's happening, right? In those situations. And I think that's a great point. You got to get good at the fundies in order to have some fun.
PP's a master. Oh, you got to have the fundies before you can have the fun. Oh!
Facts. It's just facts.
Impressive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, right, PP?
Yeah, I don't think I could have tried harder to say anything better.
Nice.
Great.
Lovensky, does that answer your question now?
Yeah, I believe so.
Wait,
Okay.
Lovensky, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Are you a Marth player?
No.
Okay, I don't know. What character do you play?
Good question.
Peach.
Good question. Represent.
We'll get a Peach player on one of these weeks. You can ask about Peach if you want. Sorry to make you do this. Sorry to make you sit through all this Marth dialogue that you probably don't even feel that much personal investment in. But I appreciate you sticking your neck out.
I took one for the team.
You did take one for the team.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. Do you got any shout outs for us on your way out today?
Shout outs to Spood. Shout outs to Subtle.
Spood. Subtle.
And
love those guys. Exodia. Obliterate.
You gotta do that.
Trust me, he does. Thank you again, Lovensky, and hope you have a good rest of your day, gamer.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Later.
What a question. Good to get to hear some of your thoughts on the issue, Blur.
Yeah, we were. Everyone wanted to know.
I actually don't even know if all of those thoughts were per se on the issue, but I mean, I thought we got a lot of thoughts in anyway, which was
we had a lot of thoughts. We had mushy brain talk at one point.
I actually feel like we had more emotions than we had points.
Yeah, I wonder how that happened.
Yeah.
That was weird. That was weird how that happened. That's okay.
Blur, I think you can do it, man. I think you can do it. But I think you can do it.
Facts. I think I could do it.
Oh, Blur.
You gotta stop smiling when I say stuff like that, Kevin.
I can't help it. You're just you're so excited, and your joy is infectious.
Mm-hmm.
And man, Blur, what? I heard you had the Slay the Spire world record, and then you stopped. What are you?
PB, did you know that in the Slay the Spire community, Blur is spoken of very highly? They speak of the Slay the Spirers. They're like, no, Blur's actually really good. Like they're really
at video games. I'm good at every game I've touched, but Melee. How is that possible? Everything I
Melee's
touch,
hard.
well,
Melee's hard. So,
but maybe that's what keeps me coming back. I'm like, this is the only game that challenges me. You know, I play hard games. Like I'm talking about, think about the hardest single player games. Blur's played them. Blur's played them at the hardest difficulty, and he's destroyed them. You know,
Metal Gear Solid European Extreme.
That's I've never heard.
The highest difficulty is European Extreme. Yeah, okay. European Extreme.
Is supposed to be hard though. That's like not a hard game.
That's a good callback to the European Revival question, Toph. Well played.
There you go. Thank you.
Perfect.
That's completely intentional.
Yes.
Anyway, so the point is Bentley's the only thing that really,
Blur, if you were good at Melee, then you'd have nothing left to
You'd have
strive
nothing left.
for. So this is good for you.
Maybe that's what it
Because
is.
I don't play StarCraft. StarCraft would also probably
Yeah,
be
that would do
stupid
it.
hard. That would do it, and probably others too. I just
Blur, you
don't
ever play rhythm games?
Dude, I suck at rhythm games. Okay,
There you go.
when I
That's
say
another.
anything,
There's another genre.
Toho rhythm games
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
are like the two game
Toho.
genres which I'm so bad at that like I just almost don't count them as games. It's like talking about like, Blur, are you good at basketball? I'm like, I'm probably better at basketball than I am any of those things.
At
I
Toho.
like them, dude. I
Yeah.
love Elite Beat Agents, Owendon, that's a banger. Luminous,
Yeah.
that's a banger.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good rhythm games, but actually like the hard ones, like those are hard. I've seen you play like Beatmania and stuff, bro. That's out of
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it. That's
Right.
I'm gonna try Beat Saber. I'm gonna get a VR device, maybe like Beat Saber around.
Ooh.
That'd be
Blur,
fun.
I only have one more question for you, and that is, do you think that your rhythm difficulties relate to your Marth dash dancing difficulties?
That's the question.
Dude, I never put it together. Maybe I need to start playing rhythm games.
Yeah, maybe that's the missing link. And Toph
Dude.
can coach you. You guys can. Toph, do you want Blur to train you in anything? So
Yeah,
you
of
can get
course.
coaching?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
I could coach you in commentary. You know?
Sure. you know.
you know, just,
Yeah, or like
if you need a little help.
Spire?
Yeah.
I can play Slay the Spire. I never really got into Slay the Spire. You could maybe
Yeah.
you could teach me how to Slay the Spire really efficiently.
I could teach you that. Or you could just play the game for the first time. That would probably help you get better first.
All right.
You
Well, it
know.
sounds like you guys are gonna talk
work
about
that out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. We'll talk that. We'll do that off air. One thing we wanted to add to this broadcast, we needed a little more of Blur. So what we're gonna ask him today is for a question for all of you out there in the YouTube comments. This is called the Community Voice segment, and
Community voice.
yes, we want to hear what everyone's got to say, and we really want to know what Blur wants them to say. So, Blur, can you please give a question to the wonderful people out there in the GG audience?
Okay. How about when locals come back?
Hmm.
When
Or
locals
if they
come
already
back.
have. Or if they already have.
Or if they already have. I don't know why I'm repeating what Blur's saying.
Yeah. Jeez.
It
Adding
felt
a lot
right.
of drama to it. Yeah, it did.
Well, I'm trying to add drama. That's what I do.
What are you most looking forward to
Oh,
if you are someone who has been playing for a long time, if you have never gone to a local, all those things, you can still answer this question. What are you most looking forward to? And also, what would make you go if you don't plan to go?
Ooh, that's good.
cut into the heart of
know?
the matter.
So if
Just
so putting it together, it would be something like, what are you excited for if you're going back to locals, and if you're not going, what would make you want to go?
How do we get you to go to these, boots on ground, actually go to these local events?
Good question.
Boots on the ground.
Yeah, we'll have to
Yeah.
figure it out. So let us know out there in the comments. We will pick some answers out for the next episode of Radio Melee. So be sure to let us know. Thank you, guys.